Hello, Heidi Angelica here, and today I'm going to try to make a faceted gift box. The faceted gift box looks like this. It is triangular shaped on the sides and it opens on the top. And it has become my new favorite box or gift box to make. The idea comes from paperpixie.com. Julie DiMatteo, who's an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in the US. And if you go to her blog, paperpixie.com, she has a lot of neat ideas for gift boxes and other type of boxes, but also cards there that she shows how to make with video tutorials. And what you need to start with is a piece of paper measuring 6.5 by 8 inches. So I'll start with one sheet of paper. This is Lawn Fawn cardstock, and I'm going to cut it down to 6.5 inches by 8 inches. And I have a plan of mass producing these, so I've cut down 5 different pieces of paper that I will attempt to make into these neat little boxes. You will also need 2 pieces that measures 2 3/4 of an inch by 5 inches. There. Then we need to do some scoring, and with the 6.5 inch side up, we first score at 3 inches and then at 6 inches. Then we turn clockwise and score at 1.5 inch and at 7 inches. We then turn the piece over so that the skinny side, or the skinny scoring there, turns in towards the corner, and then we score in the middle here, middle of this score line and this score line at 2 inches, but we only go down to the first horizontal score line. And then we do the same at 5 inches, only down to the first horizontal score line. Then we have these little pieces. We are going to just nick them or make little tick marks. And we're going to do that at 1 3/8 of an inch. So 1, 2, 3, 3/8 of an inch. Both of them. 1 3/8 of an inch, a little tick mark. Make these triangle scores or score lines, which happens to be my least favorite part of making this this box, but we'll have to do it. So what we're doing is making a score line on the diagonal from where we made the little score line. So we're putting our score instrument and we make a line down from the score line to the bottom score line. The next thing we're going to do with this one is that we are going to cut away these little pieces. And we do that by going in on an angle, nick them, and then cut away. And then on this side too, we go in on an angle and cut away along the score line. I made a, well, this isn't the best template, but it shows that you have, here's where we just cut these two little things. And that is what we're going to fold in to make our box. All right, so we made those, and then we've cut the little flap on the diagonal. Then we need to, these little squares down here are what's going to close the box at the bottom. So we need to cut them up to the first score line, all of them. And they will fold in and over each other to form the box. See? The last thing we're going to do, cutting wise on this thing, is that we need to have the top, this piece, rounded. So we use, or we could cut with the scissors, of course, but I prefer to use like a corner maker. So I just put it in and cut down. It's kind of hard because it's double, but it works out fine with a little muscle. Then we have rounded corners, a flap to glue on, and the bottom to put together. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tape, double-sided adhesive, along this edge. And then that's what you need, all you need double-sided tape for. Then we're going to do some stamping also, and it's good to do that now while the piece is flat before we put it together, because then the stamping will obviously be really hard. I am going to put just because, like I did on this blue one, because it's just a little gift just because. And there it is, just because. I also want to put my own signature mark or my signature stamp on this. And I want to do that on the flap that I want to come on top at the bottom. And I have chosen to make this the flap that goes on the top on all of them. So that's the flap I'm going to put my personal stamp on. All right, there's another thing we're going to do, and that's with the pieces that we nicked. We nicked them at the top, and what I want to do is make diagonal lines, just like we scored this piece, these score lines. We're going to make cut lines. You can perfectly well just put this in your paper cutter and align the mark with the corner and cut. But I feel that I have a lot more control when I make lines and cut it by hand. Just because I find that my paper cutter, if I try to follow a line on there, it tends to not cut along the line, but like a millimeter or so away from the line. Once again, line it up from corner to the tick mark and make a line. And the same on this, line it up from the tick mark to the corner. And there you have your cut lines. And then, of course, like I said, you can use your paper cutter or paper trimmer, but I prefer to use a small pair of scissors and follow the line. I find that that gives me the most control, and I get the best results. We're going to assemble the box. First, we're going to start by gluing on the triangle panels. And I have tried out different things here, and I have come to the conclusion that what works best for me, again for me, is to use wet glue. So, is just glue these things on. Right, and then we're ready to assemble the box. What we'll do first is burnish this line quite a bit, because this is the first thing we're now going to do. And that is, we're going to remove the paper on the back of the double-sided tape. And then we should be able to just fold this over to meet the double-sided tape. And you will see that I have not burnished these score lines, the diagonal score lines, because when I now do push in the middle, it pops out to the position it's supposed to be in. Then I can fold these flaps in, glue them, and we have our box. You will see that I like to use on these things, because it adheres much quicker, I like to put on double-sided tape on the flaps, one at the top and one on the bottom. Then when I go to fold it, the last one I want to fold in is the one that I have my personal stamp on, because I want that to be on top. So what I'll do is I'll first peel off the paper on the one next to that panel or that flap. What I then do is, because double-sided adhesive dries up eventually and falls off or whatever, I'm going to put a thin layer of wet glue on top of it. Then I fold it in, and I fold the one that I want to go on top of it over it. Together. And there you have it. This is the bottom of the box. This is the top of the box. And in here, you put the cream or whatever it is that you want to put in.